Yes, that's right. I am now the proud owner of a silver Kawasaki Versys 650. I think we all knew it was always going to be the Versys. It was the cheapest option. I think it's got the tallest seat height out of all of the options. No pun intended with the name of the bike. It's the most versatile of all the options. The Yamaha was great, really flickable, super light. Would have been pretty good fun in the twisties, I imagine, but it was just too small. Didn't get a chance to really ride a V-Strom, slightly down on power compared to this. It's smoother perhaps, but since the last time I rode a parallel twin, it's a vast improvement. It's incredible. I mean, right now, almost nothing, just a gentle purr through my thighs, said the actress to the washing machine technician. If you remember, this bike had a few issues when I got it. The left fork seal was oozing fork oil all over the place. The trip reset button didn't work, and the handlebars weren't quite straight either. The extremely keen-eyed among you will notice that I've got the LSL bars off of the phaser on this bike already, because it turns out the bars were actually bent, which, as ever, is the sort of thing that would make alarm bells start ringing. But a quick search on the internet, and apparently when these bikes go over, if they don't have any kind of engine bars or crash mushrooms, all of the force goes through the handlebars, and it's pretty common that the bars bend. Luckily, I already had a set of bars, and even more luckily, in the paperwork that comes with the bars that is vital for legal use in this country, this bike is on there. Gosh, and they're a lot wider, they're a lot flatter. I think it's really improved the position of the bike. We also got rid of those god-awful little oval mirrors that you had. They were terrible. Again, the perceptive among you will notice that these are the mirrors I had off of the phaser, and I think they do a fantastic job. Another common complaint among these bikes is because it's a twin and because it's quite punchy, when you're at cruising speed. And what is cruising speed? Anywhere between, what, 50 and 100, depending on who you are, I suppose. But anyway, when you're at cruising speed, the mirrors buzz around so much you can't see a thing in them. But these ones are, I think, a bit heavier and a bit more sturdy than the standard mirrors, and they don't buzz around as much. I mean, at the moment, they're crystal clear. Obviously, I'm in town, so it's a bit of a stupid thing to say, really. Also, I had the MRA touring screen, but to be honest, I found it absolutely rubbish. The floppy thing on the top, the adjustable spoiler, was about as useful as a paper hat in a hurricane. No matter what position it was at, it just felt like someone was drumming on the front of my helmet at all speeds. So again, because I'm a complete forum whore, went onto the forums, did a bit of research, and apparently one of the best solutions, this is brilliant, just kind of complete accidental on Kawasaki's part, one of the best solutions is the standard screen but put on upside down. So here we have the standard screen put on upside down, and I have to say, it's a vast improvement. It feels so much better. They've accidentally designed the perfect screen but 180 degrees to where they thought it should be. Idiots! But anyway, it's the fork seal. I was just about ready to go through the rigmarole of changing the fork seals. I've done fork seals before, but this bike has upside down forks, which is a bit more of a faff. And it also has no centre stand. And it also has an underslung exhaust pipe. So you can't use a jack on the engine or the frame. So it was looking like it was going to be a complete nightmare. Until a little bit more research, I found this little device called a seal mate, which is just a little floppy piece of plastic with a hook on the end. The idea is you poke it up in between your fork seal and your stanchion, give it a whirl around, and then it dislodges any shit, grit, dirt and scum that might be holding your seal open. Now, me being the tight ass that I am, I didn't want to spend £7 or whatever it was, so I used a piece of 35mm negative, stuck it up in the seal, jammed it right up in there, ran it round a few times, and no oil has come out since then, and that was a month ago. I've been riding this bike to work and back for a month already, and I've got to be honest, I'm absolutely loving it. It's just so torquey and so much grunt from really low down in the rev range. What I do really like as well is it's so much noisier than the phaser. It's just got the standard pipe on it, but it's got a nice throaty throb, which I do enjoy. No real idea about fuel economy as yet, because I've been using it in the city, and also the reset button was broken until this morning. And when I bought it, the chap I bought it from was telling me about how much it costs for a new dial unit and how it's annoying because then you lose your odometer reading, so you don't really know the true mileage of the bike anymore. And once again, forums prevail. Versys.co.uk. If you're a Versys owner and you haven't had a look at Versys.co.uk, mean, there are other flavours available. Yeah, I went on the forum, apparently it's another common complaint. So I just, really thin, small screwdriver, wedged that little button out, sprayed some WD-40 in it, got a pair of tweezers on it, moved it around a little bit. Works like a charm now. Check it out. My clock is correct, and I've just reset that 9 kilometres ago. Also, I discovered the other day when somebody pulled out in front of me in the traffic that the horn didn't work, or it did work, but it sounded like the last dying yelp of an asthmatic puppy. So I've replaced it with what I think is really quite cool. There's lots of people have gone crazy installing massive two-tone air horns that need compressors and shit. But I found at, you guessed it, my favourite shop and yours, Lewis, a two-tone standard horn. So no compressors, no relays, ordinary standard wiring. I'll show you how it sounds in a minute when I'm not sat behind someone so they think I'm beeping at them. Oh, that's where I refilled on the MT-07. Wasn't as far away from home as I thought. Anyway, check this out. It's quite cool, isn't it? Yeah, get stuffed. Somebody's nicked 2 wheels off your car, mate. So this is the first real chance I've had to take the bike out of the city, to be honest, since I've had it. Didn't even have to change down then. Top gear. Look at you. So I'm heading to bad old Slow. So's everybody else. Brakes aren't nearly as sharp as they were on the Phaser. I think they're good enough, but you just have to pull a bit harder. And it's got this horrible between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM. Although you could argue that expecting smooth power from a twin at that rev range just isn't going to happen. Apparently there are ways to fix that, but I need to get some really long, thin pliers to do it. I expect some kind of a little video about that in the future. I don't know if you're getting that, but it's very like... I guess that's what the gearbox is for, isn't it? Not a single wave, grumpy bastards. What are you doing, car driver? You can't overtake a lorry around a blind corner, you plonker. Both gonna go for it, aren't they? No? Don't fancy it? Love that horn. Enjoy the riding position of this bike compared to the Phaser as well. So far the seat seems a bit more comfortable. At first it was awful, sloping really far forwards, and I kept on sliding my nuts into the tank. But then I actually had the time to mess around with the suspension settings a bit, and the guy had the back end rock solid and he had the front preload on practically nothing. So I switched everything around. And now the bike sits up a bit more, the front end's a lot sharper, and the seat's almost flat. It's hilarious how much suspension settings adjust the position of your seat. I was thinking about buying a new seat, it was that bad, whereas now I don't have to. Whoa! A little bit of a shimmy there. The front end isn't quite as sharp as the Phaser was. Go round, you've just got to expect it to be a little bit more washy because it's got so much more suspension travel. The trade-off of which is riding around Hamburg with all of the cobbled streets and potholes and things. This thing just soaks them all up. It's amazing. It's like riding a magic carpet. A very buzzy fairing, this bike. And it came with this piece of rubber in. And I jammed another couple of bits of foam and shit under there, but there's still a lot of buzzes to be tuned out. I think rubber washers on all of these mounting points might help a lot. Still sounds pretty good though. So much more throaty than the Phaser. It's like riding a racing sewing machine. It's got this really weird, annoying whistle. You hear that? Some say it's the petrol tank venting under the pressure. Some say it's the petrol pump, which just whines because it's a whiny pump. Pump petrol! I don't want to pump petrol anymore. I want a different job. I want to be a water pump. I want to be an indicator relay. I don't like this job. Petrol tastes horrible. Surprisingly chuckable, this bike, for such a big bike. And here's what I came to see. A little bit of water. Maybe a bit silly as I've come from a city with a big fat lake and a river running through it. Isn't it pretty? Oh, I could have got a coffee, but I've just missed it. I would attempt to have a wee in this ominous looking blue box though. Oh, look at that. Not for you though. And as if by magic, we're back on the way. And to be honest, I fully expect all batteries to be running out very soon, so enjoy as much of this ride as you can. It is my pleasure to have introduced you to the Versys. I expect to be seeing a lot more of her in the near future because, well, this is my only bike, so it's this or nothing, I'm afraid. There'll be a few more tinkerings, a few modifications. I've missed my turning. So glad I said goodbye to the idea of an NC 700. Red line at 7,000, no thanks. I'd be bouncing off that bad boy all the time. What a lovely little place. I would have waved at you, but I couldn't see you because you had your headlights on before being your knob end. In the daytime, fair enough, but when it's dusky, it's dazzling, isn't it? It's dazzling. Oh, I could smell bratwurst. It was really good to get out of the city and actually stretch this new machine's legs a little bit. As I rode it back from the guy I bought it from in the dark, which is pretty unexciting and uneventful. And then I rode to England and sold Polly. Amazed by how fast that happened. Advertised it on Friday afternoon after the MOT. Sold on Monday morning. But to be fair, I didn't expect it to sit there for long. It was in great nick, great bike. When I bought it, it was advertised for 2 days and I got it. Prettiest little places always stink of shit, don't they? Ah, stables, that'll be why. Bloody roadworks out here, ruining my route. Oh my god, I'm off-road, I'm off-road, I'm off-road. That was a bit naughty, but I won't tell anyone if you don't.